You are now live, it says. Oh, I'm gonna wait a minute to kind of get things going before we start our time together. Hi. Oh, hi, Susan. Yay. I hope y'all can hear me. Let's go ahead and get started. This is so fun. I was gonna do a fireside chat and hang out by my fireplace, but it's so dark in my living room. And so I'm here and I have a space heater for my fireplace. So this is the Feel Alive challenge. We're going to do a little fireside chat without the fireplace. My space heater will have to suffice, and a somatic practice. And I'm going to tell you a little more about why I've been talking so much about somatics for pelvic health lately and how it can help you. And I'm also just going to share some story time. So this is a really lazy gals challenge, and I've been calling it like a lazy gals challenge because there's no sign up needed. This is like super low pressure. Just show up and hang out with me every day this week if you want to. I'm curious, like by hearts oh good, I see some names that I recognize. Yay. Oh, Jen's here. Yay. Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. I bet you a lot of you are already doing other challenges right now, right? Am I right? Can I get a heart if you're already doing like 15 other challenges? I feel like, I love so many people in this beautiful online space, and it seems like everybody at this time of year has their own challenge. And here I am doing a challenge and adding to the noise. And honestly, so much of my work these days has been about slowing down and decreasing the noise in my own life for my own health. And so part of me really debated. I was like, do I do a challenge for y'all? and potentially make some people feel a little bit overwhelmed by all the challenges. And so that's why I really wanted this challenge, if you will, just to really be a time to get together and make it really chill, really calm. There's no rules. There's no intense pressure. I'd love for you to catch me live every day this week. And if that's not possible, totally cool. You can catch the replays. They'll be on my Instagram profile. And I think I'm also going to try to put them on YouTube. So yeah, all you have to do is show up. You've already done it. You already won the challenge. Oh my gosh. Just by being here, you freaking did it. Like, high five, give yourself a pat on the back. You did it. But I hope you'll stick with me. I was really inspired by this little meme before I dive in. This little meme that I saw the other day, and it just was so cute. It was like a little cartoon of this hippopotamus, and it's pouring a cup of tea. And this hippo says, "Excuse me, but I will not slay or crush or take the new year by the horns. I will welcome her in and offer her tea." I just loved that because that's how I'm feeling this new year. Again, it's like, for me, the new year doesn't really feel like the new year until the spring. And so right now it's still a time of coziness and quietness and inwardness. And so I just invite you to ease into things with me and ease into it with this challenge right now. So let's begin with an exhale. So everyone just take a big, deep breath in, inhale and expand, and exhale long and slow. And it always takes me a minute or two to really feel that and to really get into it. So if you didn't do it last time when I cued it, do it this time. Okay, so inhale in any way that feels good. Just inhale. And then exhale long and slow. So we are going to begin with some story time. You can keep breathing. You can keep focusing on nice, expansive inhales and long, slow exhalations. But this story time is for a few reasons. I want to introduce somatics. I want to introduce somatics for pelvic health. I want to introduce a little more about me and who I am. if you don't know, I'm Brianne Grogan, Dr. Bree. I'm a physical therapist. I focus on pelvic health, specifically holistic pelvic health. And I love the mind-body connection. And I want to explain some more of my story so that you can get a feel for how somatic work has impacted my life. And also, frankly, I want to introduce this to you because I'm opening a new membership, and this isn't a sales pitch. I'm not going to be talking a lot about this membership today, but I want to let you know that I have a new membership opening soon, and I'm so excited about it. It's called The Collective, and in this membership community, it's all women with pelvic health challenges, and we're doing somatic practices together, amongst other things, but somatic practices is a really big piece of it. So that's all I'm going to say for right now, but let me tell you some stories. One is about how I really came to know and feel the fact that I always say this, like, it's all connected. It's all connected. And the mind-body connection is huge in my work, and just understanding that when you have a health challenge, so for example, a pelvic health challenge, you've got to look at more than just that one body part. Like, you've got to look at more than just the pelvic floor muscles or just the bladder or whatever it may be. We really need to look at everything because it's all connected. So I want to tell you how I really learned in my own life that it's all connected, and also how I learned to develop this really strong inner authority within myself, this really strong inner guidance system, because I had to learn to trust myself. I wasn't getting help elsewhere, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I want to infuse that into you, and somatic practices can be so helpful with that too. And then I want to tell you briefly about when I truly learned the value of somatics, and it happened a year ago, exactly. And then we'll do our somatic practice. So if you will just humor me and listen to my story time right now, we will get to the somatic practice, but let's go ahead and begin with some chat. So how I discovered the mind-body connection for myself, and more than anything, just the fact that every body system is connected. So I grew up eating the standard American diet. I loved bread, cheese, pasta, chips, cake, cookies, bread, and bread. So the more bread I could eat, the better. I was a bread face. I loved it so much. Gluten bread. And by the way, I don't think that everyone should be gluten-free, but this story does culminate in me needing to be gluten-free. So I had always had stomach issues. My whole life growing up, I had stomach issues, stomach pain, constipation, lots of stomach aches that I would get, especially after eating a bunch of junk food. I called it party sickness, and I didn't know what it was. But as a kid, I would go to a party and come home and just be so sick. And so I didn't connect it to the food I was eating. But anyway, I basically went through my whole life with stomach issues. And when I was in college, I got together with this guy, and it was an abusive relationship. So I was in a mentally abusive relationship. There was some physical abuse. It was not a good situation. And this was a really destructive relationship. And during this time period, I really started going downhill. I started having severe brain fog. I couldn't think. Of course, I'm in college, so that's a problem. And I became very depressed. And actually, I went to a therapist for this and was diagnosed with clinical depression. And I was having very dark thoughts and dark times, as many of us have gone through, and it's no joke. And it's a big deal. And it was so painful and lonely. And I was going through that time. I also, around that time period, I went to the dentist, and all of a sudden, after having had no cavities my whole life, I had 9 cavities all at once, 9 cavities. I also had this skin condition that was developed on these bumps under my arms and on my butt cheeks, these like kind of under my butt, these little bumps, kind of like chicken skin. So all of these things, plus my standard gut issues, which I'd always had. So to me, that was really nothing new. But it's like all these other things were new, from mind stuff, brain fog, depression, to skin issues, to cavities. I'm like, what's going on? So I developed all these issues, and I didn't have any idea what it was, but I'm, in my early 20s, I got a colonoscopy. The colonoscopy was inconclusive. They said irritable bowel syndrome, constipation prone, no other real help. The doctors couldn't help me. I'd been to the emergency room many times for my gut issues. I'd been to the mental health provider for my mental health issues, but everyone just looked at pieces of me, individual parts of me, and nobody really had answers for me. And so it all was saved one day when my mom actually was reading in a Reader's Digest magazine, and she discovered, and granted, this was in 2000, like the year 2000. So this is almost 25 years ago. And celiac disease and gluten, that conversation was really quite new at the time. I mean, it wasn't new for people who had diagnosed celiac disease from a young age, and they were, it was a medical issue, but it wasn't in the mainstream. So my mom discovered this thing called gluten, and some people have issues with gluten. So we went, and she said, Brianne, I think this might be you. Like, you have some of these symptoms that I'm seeing in here. And she had the symptoms too. So she's like, I'm going to test myself. So she tested herself. Yep. She was not absorbing any of her nutrients. She did have, she had one of the genes for celiac disease, one of the genes that are there. Now, if you have the genes for celiac, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have all the symptoms. But if you have the genes, and then you have factors in your life that essentially cause the genes to turn on, you're going to have symptoms. So she discovered that she had some issues with gluten. And she said, Brianne, I think you should get tested too. So she got me tested. I did the test. I had both genes for celiac disease. So my dad must have one too. So I have both genes for celiac disease. I was not absorbing anything. I have all these antibodies in my system. Basically, my body was freaking out on the inside, and it was showing up in all of these different places. I believe that the genes that I have in my body were turned on and started expressing themselves in these issues that I had later in life, with the cavities, the brain fog, the depression, all of these conditions, the skin bumps, all of these things that we now know are connected to gut issues, because our gut is our second brain. We literally have like a second brain in our gut. So there's so many connections, and this is not what this conversation is about today, so I don't need to go into specifics, but just know that it was discovering that I had a gut health issue that helped me unlock and realize that all these other things were impacted as well. And so treating just the brain, just my depression, treating just the skin, treating just my cavities was not going to do any good. We needed to look at the big picture, look at the whole picture, look at the root cause, which was contributing to all these other things, because it's all connected. And so I didn't believe it right away. It was really hard for me to make the transition to gluten-free, especially 25 years ago. Not easy. I kicked and I screamed, but I did finally make the transition. It took a solid month for me to feel any difference at all. But then I did. And my mom, I will never forget the day she said, the sunshine is back in your voice. And it, like, every time I tell this story, it makes me cry, because I was in such a bad place. And it took a long time, but I came out of it. And then I really started trusting it, and I really started believing it. And now I've been gluten-free for almost 25 years. And I absolutely feel better. And I believe in the power of the mind-body connection, of the total body connection, of the fact that you can't just treat one body part when you have an issue in a body part. There's more to the story. And I also don't necessarily trust that somebody else can figure it out for me. I mean, I do believe in going to the doctor. I do believe in thank God for our medical system and our healthcare system. I'm part of it. But I also believe so strongly in my trust, my inner resourcing, my inner guidance, my inner authority to know when something's not right and the doctor says they can't help me or they don't know or there's no evidence or I don't know if I believe what you say, but if I believe it, I'm going to believe me. And this is because of the journey that I've been on where nobody could help me. So I had to figure it out myself. In fact, Reader's Digest magazine helped my mom figure it out for me. So this is really powerful to have an and perspective, a both and. Yes, we need to speak to the experts. Yes, we need to get guidance from our doctors. Yes, we need opinions and second opinions and expert help and support and advice. And we also need to listen to ourselves and listen within. And so that kind of is a long-winded way of sharing with you why I'm such a believer in sharing somatic body-based practices with people. Now, somatics, let's see. I wanted to share you quickly like a little story about when I really learned the value of somatics, even though we all are doing somatic work all the time. We live in bodies. And granted, a lot of us are up in our heads a lot of the time or thinking about other things or, I don't know, just kind of busy in our minds, scrolling, looking on Instagram and doing things online and not really being in our bodies. We can be quite disconnected. And especially if we have pain or health issues or trauma, we often want to leave our bodies. That's understandable. So that being said, many of us aren't practicing somatics, but at the same time, soma just means body. And somatics has lots of different meanings, and it's become quite a buzzword these days, which is wonderful that it's in the zeitgeist. But we've all been practicing it since we were born if we've been living in a body, right? So I feel that I've specifically been quite focused on somatics and the body since I really went to college. I started out I went to college and then I transferred to nursing school. So I was in nursing school for a few years and I really got into the body and anatomy. And then I went back and finished my degree in health sciences and then went to physical therapy school. So I've been all about the body, the soma, for this whole time since I was, in college and graduate school and been working. And I really got into somatics more and more as I got more into dance, more into different styles of movement that really got me in my pelvis, in my hips. And I've loved sharing that with y'all through my hip circles. And I've always blended dance and Pilates and yoga into the work that I do as a physical therapist, as a pelvic health fitness person on YouTube and all of that. So I've always blended all of this in and really tried to focus on getting into my body and implying and telling y'all how important that is for you too, for your health. But when I truly learned one reason why somatic work can be so helpful is when I went to a darkness retreat a year ago. I spent the last turn of the year in a darkness retreat, solitary confinement, essentially, that I chose and I paid for. And I was in the dark, pure dark and isolation for 4 nights and 5 days. And I really learned the value of being able to stay with myself and in my body, even when I was freaked out. Because I don't love the dark. I'm pretty scared of the dark, to be honest with you. I always was growing up, and this was a big leap for me to do this darkness retreat. But I went through everything from total boredom, such boredom, agonizing boredom, to like excitement about being in the dark and some moments of joy and pleasure and real moments of a lot of thoughts coming up and a lot of memories and just sort of rumination and boredom and stagnation and fear. And that was probably the hardest one for me, was the fear. In the darkness retreat I was staying at, there actually wasn't a lock on the door. And I'm literally alone in the woods in this cabin. So it wasn't really a cave, but I kind of call it a cave. Sometimes it felt like a cave. I was in this very tiny room in the woods, and there was no lock on the door. And I didn't really put that together until about halfway through the retreat when I heard a sound out. Well, it was toward the end of the retreat that I heard the sound, but I remember, I guess I knew. But for some reason, it really freaked me out about halfway through the retreat. And then on the final night, I heard a sound outside of my room, and I was so scared. So with all this fear that was coming up, I really had to resource within my own body, because that's all I had. And if I started spinning out in my head, that was just going to spin me out all over the place. I mean, I'm in the dark. I can't see anything. I can't even see my face and my hand in front of my face. And so I had to sink back into me. I had to be my own inner guidance system, my own steady guide, my own inner light within. And so I ended up feeling this little image within me, which was a little candle, a little tiny tea light candle. And I imagined it in my pelvic bowl. So I'm all about the pelvis. I'm all about the pelvic organs and the womb. And I just, without, trying to do this, I just felt this candle all of a sudden land in my little pelvic bowl area. And I just kept that vision with me. And that is somatics. Although it's not like a movement practice, it is a feeling of life within. Somatics, one of my favorite definitions for somatics, there's many, but one of my favorite is the state of experiencing life in your body. The state of experiencing life in your body. And so I wasn't in my head. I was down with that little candle in my pelvic bowl that was just flickering like a little steady flame that says, you're going to be okay. You've got this. Even when things are hard and scary and challenging and tough, you're okay. Like right now, you're okay. And so that for me has been my little guiding light within. And I feel that it all ties together with that story I shared with you earlier about how, it's all connected, and we do have to become our own authority. We do. We can't always rely on outside sources to give us the guidance that's going to help us the most. We need both. We need outside guidance and inner guidance too. And so that little candle within, I truly think the only reason I was able to access it so quickly and easily when I needed it most was because of the somatic work that I'd done, the little daily bits of somatic practices that I'd done without even really realizing it was somatic work over the years, through my work, my movements, my exercise, my career, my dance, my self-touch practices, self-massage, self-love practices that I was starting to do. And this has been so powerful for me to use as I navigate just life. I'm the mother of a teenager. That's a whole thing. There's, stuff going on in our world that's hard. Running a business is a lot. Life is a lot for all of us. Not to mention if you have health challenges, which I am lucky that my pelvic health challenge is very much managed, very much under control. But the work I do is mostly based on the fact that I've been through prolapse, pelvic pain, extreme pelvic tension, all these things I've been through. And they still rear their heads now and then. And so for myself, I have to learn how to have that inner resourcing when I have a bad day in my body, which happens. And for everyone who's on a pelvic healing journey, you know that there are ups and downs. Healing is not linear. It's a lifelong process and path. And so the more we can come back to our body, it helps us from getting spun out in fear, spun out in panic of, oh my gosh, what does this mean? What if I never get better? Helps your pelvic health to get to know and trust your body. And somatics is where I've found that's the best place to start. The problem is in our body. So why not get to know and befriend and trust our body rather than just constantly looking for the next answer on Instagram or YouTube or Google search or from other sources? You have your answers in here. Yes, get help from outside sources, but your answers are here too. And your steadiness is here in your body. So those are my stories. Let's do the practice, if that sounds good. Before we do the practice, I want to give you some other definitions of somatics. And again, soma means body, and somatics basically focuses on the body's sensations, perceptions, and experiences, and all of them. So the great ones and also the hard ones too. So everything. And it can be anything from sensing your breathing, sensing, am I hungry? Am I full? Am I feeling bloated? Am I feeling pain anywhere in my body? Am I feeling good? Ooh, how does the feeling of my hair on my neck feel? Ooh, that feels good. Those kinds of things are somatic experiences that you can have. And again, the state of experiencing life in your body is probably my favorite definition. I just love that. And that's why I called this the Feel Alive Challenge. I also think a great simple definition or way to describe somatics is getting out of your head and into your body. So with that, let's go ahead and do our practice for today. Tomorrow I'll do less chatting. So I do hope that you'll stay with me and come back tomorrow. These are just simple, bite-sized practices because I want to make it easy and attainable and that's somatics? Sure it is. And again, you have a body, so you're already licensed to do somatic work within yourself, okay? I am not saying that I'm a somatic trained therapist or provider. There are people who are professionals that are trained with extensive training in all sorts of specific somatic techniques. I'm just using somatics as a broad term of experiencing life in your body, and you can do it now in a moment. Okay, let's go. So begin with another exhale. Just a big deep breath out. Land. Oh, there are so many different ways to do this, and we'll play with different techniques over the next few days, but we're going to start with a very, very simple one, which is called tapping it alive. Before we tap it alive, let's begin by rubbing our hands together and just feeling some warmth build up there. And then just place your palms over your eyes. And I want you to go into a cave, just like I went into the dark. I want you to go into your own little cave. And just gently placing the hands over your eyes helps cut out any outside noise and distractions. It just helps you drop into your body a little bit more. If this feels uncomfortable to you at all, or you don't like it, remove your hands and take a minute and just look around your room and just reassure yourself, okay, I know where I am. Look behind you, look beside you, remind yourself, I'm safe right here, right now. It's okay, I can do this. And then just rejoin us. Ooh, go into the dark and just take a breath or two in the dark. And just realize that as silly and unprofound as this sounds, you are a body. I know that's not really mind-blowing information, but kind of it is. Because we're usually thinking that we are our thoughts, we are our worries, we are our fears, we are our dreams and hopes and goals and blah, 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 blah. And those are all part of us, but ultimately we are this body. Maybe you can sense into your lungs a little bit, or your belly, or your heart. And just feel like you're breathing into your heart. Big long exhale. And then remove your hands from your eyes. And we're going to tap it alive. So this is where I want you to get out of your head and into your body. And you're just going to tap with your fingertips lightly anywhere on the body. Now, there are so many wonderful tapping procedures and routines and specific sequences you can use. But right now, we're not doing that. We're just feeling our body. And this is kind of a nice way to begin kind of getting into your body and getting used to touching your body, because a lot of folks I've noticed that a lot of folks that I work with, even just talking about the body may feel a little squeamish or a little bit like, ugh, body. And like touching your own body might feel a little weird. And if I was here telling you like, oh, I want you to like do a breast massage right now, we're not doing that. But if I was like gonna hop you in right away with like touching your body, that might be too much. So tapping is a really cool way to get started. So just tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. And you can stand up, you can be seated, you can lie down, whatever it is. It's really soothing and calming to the nervous system to tap gently and slowly on your breastbone. You can go across onto your shoulders, little butterfly taps. And breathe. Again, there's no rules. You don't have to follow me. Maybe close your eyes as you tap anywhere you'd like. And next I'm gonna invite you to come down toward your belly, hip, and pelvic area. So wherever, it doesn't matter where you are in that area, but maybe your side hips, maybe your belly, maybe your pubic bone, if that feels okay. Maybe your sacrum, the back of your pelvis. Maybe you can even tap on your butt area or your side thighs or your inner thighs. Just tippity tap, tip, tip, tap, tap, tap. Tap it alive. Deep breaths as you tap. And we're just gonna go for another 15 seconds. So tap, 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 anywhere you wish. Tapping it alive. Getting used to touching your body in a pretty non-intimidating way. There's no rules. Again, you could just tap on your wrist. If you're like, I don't wanna tap down there, that's okay. Just tap somewhere else, it's fine. No rules. No rules. Oh my gosh, that's so wonderful, isn't it? Whew. Take a big deep breath. And now I simply want you to shimmy it out. So if you're seated, you can just shimmy your shoulders. If you're standing up, you can shimmy out your hips. Just shimmy it out. Just for a minute. Well, not a full minute, but like a few seconds. Just shimmy it out. And then I'm going to invite you to place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, if that feels okay to you. Think of that area like 3 fingers below your belly button. So if you take your fingers and go about 3 fingers below your belly button, that area down there. One hand on your heart, one hand down there on that area, about 3 finger widths below your belly button. And just breathe. You can close your eyes if you wish. And just notice if you feel anything. You may not, and that's okay. But just notice if you feel your heart beating differently. Maybe your heart is beating faster, maybe not. Maybe you can sense in a little bit better to your lungs breathing. Maybe you can sense into the fact that you have bones inside of you. Your body has a skeleton inside of you. Again, it's not exactly mind-blowing, earth-shattering information, but it's not something we often think about on a regular basis. If it feels safe and comfortable for you to bring both hands down to that area below your belly button, I invite you to bring your hands down to that area below your belly button. And just close your eyes and sense into the fact that you have organs living inside that area. You have a bladder. You may have a uterus. You have reproductive organs. Uterus, ovaries, for the women who are watching. You have a rectum. You have bowels. You have all of these things inhabiting that space between your pubic bone in the front and your sacrum in the back. Feel the inside of your pubic bone in the front. Feel the inside, the inner side of your sacrum in the back. And just breathe into that area. That's all you have to do. And I'm going to have you remain here for another 10 seconds or so. I'm not going to talk, but please don't go away. We're going to wrap it up after this. But I just want to be in quiet for another 10 seconds or so, another couple of breaths. Wrap up your last deep breath. And then bring your hands up. You can rub them together and one breath with them back on your eyes, back in that cave. Saying thank you to your body. Thank you for just this gentle experiment with going within. Thank you, body. And then very slowly, like as if you'd been in a cave for a while, don't do it all at once, but just very slowly bring your hands away and let that light back in. Kind of like you're coming out of a darkness retreat, you're coming out of a cave. And just open your eyes to the world around you, because you just spent some good time in the world within you. And there you go. That was day one. I mean, it's very simple. And maybe you were able to connect with your insides a little bit. Maybe you were able to feel that feeling of like, ooh, the inside of my bones. I've never thought about that. Or maybe you were able to connect with your organs, your pelvic organs. Maybe some things came up for you like, oh my gosh, I am angry at these pelvic organs. I'm angry. Maybe some kind of emotion came up for you. Maybe nothing came up for you. And you're like, what are you talking about, Bri? You're crazy. I don't get this. No matter what, you did it right. Everything is welcome. You did an awesome job just trying and experimenting with that little practice of being in your body. So you can tap it alive anytime. Take some moment. Tap it alive. A good friend of mine and one of my teachers, Megan McKenna, says the antidote to overwhelm is presence. The antidote to overwhelm is presence. So whenever you're feeling overwhelmed or scared or challenged by anything going on in your life or your health, your pelvic health, your whatever, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling panicked, if you're feeling scared, the antidote to that is presence, and presence in your body. And one somatic practice isn't going to change anything for you, but little bits add up. It's like developing a relationship with anybody. If you want to develop a new friend, you need to hang out with them more than just once to get to know them. And sadly, in today's modern society, most of us don't know our body very well. And so we need to redevelop that relationship. So that's why I'm opening my new membership soon. Please stay tuned to this challenge and join my email list if you haven't already, to be sure you're updated and aware when that challenge opens or the membership opens. And other ways that I can help you with getting more consistent with body-based practices is I do have a program called Body Magic. This was a 5-day challenge I did a few months ago, and it was super, super fun. It was really about slow movement. So it's different from this challenge. But I love Body Magic. It's an awesome challenge. You can get the replays. The link is on Instagram. The link is in my profile. I also have amazing programs called Lift and Overcome. Lift is for prolapse relief. Overcome is for pelvic pain and tension. And all the information is in my, the profile link thing on Instagram. And I think I'll put this on YouTube later, so I'll put the links in the video description. But just remember, small steps add up. And so I'm so proud of you for being here today. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow. There'll be a little less talking tomorrow because I've already introduced this whole thing to you today. So we'll just kind of dive in with our next somatic practice. We're going to be doing things along the lines of a pelvic massage, all external, nothing Nothing crazy, but I'm going to show you how to do this really beautiful, supportive pelvic massage, a womb lift for anybody who has any type of prolapse or shifting of their organs. Even if you've had a hysterectomy, this is going to be powerful for you. We're going to do a womb lift, a pelvic massage, and we're going to do some other things too. So this is going to be super fun. And again, super cash, just show up, no sign up needed. But if you want to explore my different offerings, check the link in my profile thing and go down, and there's a link for Body Magic. There's links for free trials of Lift and Overcome. So just explore. And thank you so much. I know there's been so many comments, and I'm so sorry if I've missed. I'm going to go back and see a little bit here. We have friends from Barcelona. Awesome. Thank you for the darkness to light experience. That was amazing. You're welcome, Music Mama. I love that too, because I experienced coming out of 5 days, 4 nights in pure darkness is shocking. And you don't realize how light everything is until you've been in the complete utter darkness. And so of course that's like a metaphor for life, but you can do that with yourself every day in just a moment. So yes, and see what Just Red says, love, lift, and overcome. Yay! Thank you so much. I'm so glad you love those programs. They are real loves of mine too. And yes, Renika, the antidote to exhaustion is wholeheartedness. Oh, the antidote to exhaustion is wholeheartedness from poet David White. Cool. I had not heard that. Great. Okay. Oh gosh, there's so many comments I want to read, and I don't want to. Hey, listen, if you want to stay on and watch as I go back, I can't not read what people have written. It breaks my heart because I want everyone to feel seen and heard. But I'm going to shut this off for the replay on YouTube. I'm just going to push end and post that on YouTube for the replay. So if you're I'm done, then goodbye, and hopefully I see you tomorrow. If you want to see the comments, then I'm going to go ahead and read through because there may be some questions. Oregon on my mind, hi Jen, says, I get so exhausted of being hypersensitive and hyper-focused on my body that I find somatic work difficult, which is why I need it. It's like relearning a new way to be in my body. Yeah, totally. And I think that's why breaking it down into really easy, attainable things, and also realizing we're doing somatic stuff all day long. Give yourself tiny, tiny wins. That is the key for any type of rehab or learning a new thing, is giving yourself tiny wins where you're sweet, I just won by showing up today, or I just won by tapping my body. Cool, somatic practice, did it. I don't know. I don't know if any of us, I think we're all masters of somatics because we all have bodies. Come on, we just might be a little rusty, and that's okay. So, Nicole says, rather than thanking my body at the end, I felt like my body thanked me. Oh, that is beautiful. I love that. And your body did thank you. Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry, I'm just scrolling to see if I'm missing anything here. Someone says I would not be able to do that a week in the dark. Yeah. Most people who I've told this about are why did you do that? That's super weird. And I'm well, why wouldn't I? How cool. I'm just a weirdo who loves challenging myself with interesting things. I'm an Aquarius rising. I'm a weirdo. I own it. It's all good. I love being on the outskirts of reality. Okay. Friends from Portland joining. I know there was I'm sorry if I missed anything. I might just call it good because I think there's a lot here. There's a lot of wonderful. Okay. If I missed anything, hey, send me a direct message, and I hope to see you back tomorrow for another challenge. And just remember how amazing you are and how amazing your body is. It keeps us going every day, even when things are cruddy, even when weather is cruddy, even when the world is going crazy. Our body is with us, and it is miraculous how this thing works. Miraculous. If you don't believe in miracles, look at a body. Open an anatomy textbook and you'll be what? It's amazing. Okay, with all that, I'm going to go, and thank you so much for showing up. Okay, Bye.